You're listening to episode 96 of the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman. Have you ever done a little bit of research on social media, or you've looked at people's blogs of people connected to you in your industry, and you've just thought, well, I'm nothing like them. I don't have anything in common with them, and they're doing really well. So does that mean that I need to change to be more like them in order to make my business or brand or profile or whatever succeed? I'm here today to tell you that you don't. You do not do it. To coin a phrase that I'm 99% sure is a Jasmine Star one, you do you. She'd add boo on the end, but I don't think I can get away with that with this accent. I should try. I'm not going to. But we know what it's like. We start doing the research and we see what people are generating. We see the way they're talking in their blogs. We see the pictures that they're taking. We see the content they're posting on social. And sometimes it can feel like in order to succeed, we need to be doing things that are not core to us, that are not key to our values, that in some ways push against us. And I'm here today to say, please don't do that. Please don't do that. We don't need, as a world, we don't need everybody who is the same. We need people who are different, who are unique and special, and are showing us who they really are. It can be really easy to not do that, but if we can show people who we really are, it means it will attract our tribe, and it means that we will do better in the long run. So, I know what it's like. I know what it's like when you see people on social media who are acing it and you're like, wish mine was doing better. Or you hear people say, well, I had 6 million blog views this month. And you're like, oh, I didn't. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. What we don't see, first of all, is that what they're saying may well be true, but we haven't seen the journey that they've been on. We haven't seen if they have thrown a huge amount of money at Google AdWords in order to get those blog views. We haven't seen if those blog views are generating any income, any conversion. We're not seeing if they are in a pod on social media, or if they are putting out content that is maybe getting the likes and maybe getting the comments, but actually if you dug a bit deeper, the likes aren't people who are going to be customers of theirs ever. And the comments are those amazing 2 words, great pic, cool, so lovely, so lush, or things that are like a 1-word, 2-word response from someone who they don't know. So although it looks cool because they've got however many comments, when you scratch the surface, it's not the kind of comment that's going to lead to connection, engagement, any kind of conversion. I'm not saying this is always the case, but I'm saying that sometimes when we look on social media, particularly, or we listen to what people are telling us, then I'm not saying they're not telling us the truth at all. They're telling us, if they're telling us something that is statistically correct, good for them. But what you rarely see is the background behind it. You rarely see how long it's taken them to get to that point, or how much money they're spending on ads, or what their brand is and how it's different to yours. So if you think about some of the accounts that are doing really well on social media, not necessarily in the space you're in, you might look and think that a mummy blogger's account is doing really, really well because she posts pictures of her children. Well, it'd be weird if she didn't as a mummy blogger. But then that doesn't mean that you have to post pictures of your children if you're not comfortable doing it. Maybe you see someone online who is body positive and that's something that they're really proud of, and they are happy to maybe get their kit off a bit more than you would. Maybe they are a model for a company and maybe their content is doing really, really well. But if that's not core to your brand, then it doesn't matter because they're not the same as you. There are various trends on social media that happen, and there are different waves of things that go up and fall down. And it's good to observe these. If the trend fits you perfectly, then there's no reason why you can't get involved with that. But please don't just get involved in a trend because it's a trend. Because if you're trying to build a personal brand online, if you're trying to build a business, if you're trying to get people to engage with you and connect with you, and you are talking about things that you just do not believe in, but you're just promoting because it's the flavour of the month, that's not going to work for you. Long term, it's just not going to work, because you could well have formed an amazing group of people, but they have got nothing in common with you and your values. So going back to the point about children, I follow lots of accounts, mummy bloggers, and I love their accounts. I have some friends who post pictures of their children on social media, and I love all of this, and it's really key for them. It's core for their brand. It's core for what they do. The pictures are beautiful. I really enjoy consuming them. But for me, I don't put my children on social media. And this isn't because, I'm taking some high ground here. I'm not. I just don't do it. It's not core to my brand and my values. I do talk about the children, and I sometimes put a picture of their shoes on or something like that, which is giving a nod to the fact that I'm a working mum. But the children aren't a key part of my online business social media world. And that's fine. And it's not saying that people who do put their pictures of their children on are better or worse than me. It's not saying that I'm better or worse than them. It's just saying for my brand, it doesn't really fit. For their brand, it absolutely does fit, and blooming good for them. It would be strange maybe if I started talking to you about, healthy eating or green smoothies. I might mention it in passing if it's something that's on my mind, but if all of a sudden my whole feed turned into green smoothies, you would think, what is going on? But if I was a nutritionist or a health coach, the green smoothie and the healthy eating is absolutely bang on. But if I'm still trying to do what I'm doing and helping businesses promote themselves better through, cheap or free ways, and I've gone all green smoothie on it, it doesn't really fit for me. And if I'm putting that out, the people I'm likely to attract, yes, some of my followers will be interested in the fact that I'm now drinking kale, maybe. I had a kale crisp the other day. That's a different subject, but I don't understand them. Anyway, I move on from kale. I may have some people that follow me, who are excited about my new addiction to greenness. But the people that I'm more likely to attract, probably because of the hashtags I'm putting out, are going to be people who are really, really hard into their health and fitness. And realistically, are they going to care about what I'm talking about? As someone who really, from a business point of view, who works with brands and riders and businesses on promoting themselves in the most cost-effective way? Probably not. So don't just jump on a trend because it's a trend. By all means, jump on a trend if it fits you, but don't feel like you have to. You really, really don't. The thing is that there's not only one way to succeed at anything in life, and we can think about so many different people who we hold up, who are at the top of their game, and we can see how different their backgrounds are. So thinking about athletes, you have some who come from very, very wealthy backgrounds, who have gone to the best schools, had the best trainers, as in not just shoes, but actual people like coaches, who've always had the best kit, who have just had every opportunity given to them and they're doing really well. Good for them. But you've also got people who come from less affluent backgrounds, who have perhaps had to make do with things, who have kind of been sponsored or got into things in a different way. And it doesn't take away from either of those people, but their journeys are very, very different. And the great thing about social media and about what we're doing now is that we have the opportunity to share our journeys. And by doing that, we can connect with people who are likely to get us and want to be part of our tribe. So if we take the athletes, for example, if the athlete who came from, I'm going to say a poor background, it's just in my head, this isn't real life. I'm not thinking of people in particular. I never do on these podcasts. If you have two people, one who's really affluent and came from a very, very wealthy background, one who came from a very poor background, Their journeys will be completely different. The poorer athlete who's at the top of their game, maybe they had to work 3 or 4 jobs in order to afford to have a coach, to have the better kit. Well, that will be really interesting because that's a story of real grit and determination on a different level. And if you start talking about that and sharing that story, you're going to attract people who can relate to that, who can feel your kind of pain and the journey you went on. Now, the affluent person, if they started talking about that, it wouldn't make any sense for them because they don't have real life experience of that. But maybe they have a different story to tell connected to the pressure and how people feel like because they've had all these opportunities and because they've got this perfect, in inverted commas, life, they should just be winning everything. And again, that will attract people who feel a pressure. Maybe they come from a slightly different background, but they will be able to connect them on the pressure level. But if these people try to be each other, because, the poorer athlete has got, much more engagement around his story about poverty, and the other person's trying to do it just wouldn't work, because even if they told a good story and it made sense, the people that are attracted to them are at some point going to realise that isn't actually authentic to them. If we take ourselves into our own businesses and our own brands, if you're saying you're something you're not, at some point you're probably going to meet that person, or you're going to get to know them better on social. Or if you're a business, you might be looking to convert them in some way. So maybe that you convert them to join your Facebook group, or you convert them to buy a paying product from you. If at that point they realise that everything you've told them online is not you at all, how is that going to end? Because I know if it was me and I had followed someone and I'd been part of their journey and I was excited about their kind of triumphs and felt disappointed for them when they had a bad day, and then all of a sudden, everything I thought about them turns out not to be true, I would be very much in the, okay, let's just move on camp, and I wouldn't trust them again because they're not being themselves. There are lots of people who try to fit the molds of others, and it never ends well. It can be incredibly hard to be fake. It's difficult enough to just be yourself. Imagine trying to be someone else. So now imagine that instead of just being you online, you have to try and second guess every comment. Is that the right style that I would use if I was this person? Absolutely screw that. It's really hard work. It's hard work to promote yourself well anyway. What's even harder is when you're trying to do it as someone else. It's just a waste of time and it's not going to work well for you long term. You will get a lot more anxiety connected to what you comment on. You'll get stressed about what you post, about how you word things, about the images, because you don't have to think, oh, that's a good image. You'll have to think, is that a good image if I'm pretending to be this person I'm not? Is this an image that actually fits me as a person? Or is this an image that makes me feel really awkward because I would not do that? You're thinking about models, for example, and people who are very confident to pose in their underwear. If you're trying to be that, and if you're trying to put those pictures out and you just feel like you want to be ill because you're doing it, and it's not because the picture's bad or because the person who is putting the pictures out is wrong in any way, it's just not a fit for you, that's going to make you feel really bad and really uncomfortable, and it could well prevent you posting as much on social and actually fulfilling your potential for your business and your brand, because you're worried and you're consumed by what isn't really right for you, but you still feel you should do. The thing is, you're being fake if you're not being you online. And this doesn't mean you have to share your whole world online. I don't feel I'm being fake by not sharing my children online. You know they exist if you follow me. But I don't share my shopping each week, or I don't share every aspect of my life online, and no one does. I don't know if anyone will want to watch a boomerang of someone going to the loo. I assure you I wouldn't want to. So you don't have to share every facet of everything you do online, and you can still be real in doing that. It's just the difference between telling the truth and being authentic in what you share and being true in what you share versus being someone else and trying to fit someone else's mold. So don't feel that by being you and being true to yourself, you have to share every aspect of what you do online. Because if it makes you feel uncomfortable, it isn't something that you should be sharing at that point. And again, that can be another pressure we feel when we look at what other people are doing and we look at how many comments or likes or whatever they've got, and we think, oh, if only I did that, I'd get more. Well, maybe that might be the case, but if it feels wrong for you, then it's not right, then it isn't right for you, because it's not going to be something that is going to be a core part of your brand if you aren't happy to put it out there. If it makes you feel funny inside, not just a kind of, again, there's different feelings, isn't there? It's not just kind of, oh, this is a bit, oh, I feel a bit nervous about this because it's me blowing my own trumpet or whatever. If it's kind of, oh, this just doesn't feel right, that is something to really listen to. When we put out fake content, we may attract more likes, we may attract more followers because it's perhaps a trend of the time, but we're being fake and we're not going to attract our true tribe. And if we want to grow on social media in the correct way, in a way that is likely to bring us more opportunities, is likely to support us in what we're doing, is likely to generate income, to generate business, to generate opportunities, we have to be ourselves. We have to really focus on attracting our tribe and attracting the people that really matter to us. It's quite easy to just grow your followers. It's much harder to grow them in a way that is correct for you and is likely to have people who want to get to know you better and who may want to convert and become a bigger part of your world in one way or another moving forward. And that's what we want. It's not all about the money they're going to give you at all. It can be the friendships you create, and that they are your tribe as much as people who are paying you money. It's the opportunities you get, it's the places you get to go, it's the people you chat to, those who pick you up on a rough day, those who you pick up on a rough day, those who you have a drink with and you meet in real life and you love. These are people who are your tribe. And if you are promoting that you're something else, you're not going to have the absolute privilege and the joy of finding your true tribe and your true people. And it's basically fake advertising, isn't it? I think it is. So it might take longer to do it this way, and you might get the disappointment that some of your posts aren't doing as well. But often, sometimes, occasionally, these posts are still telling a story. They're still an important part of the mix. And we also don't underestimate that people do look at older posts. They help to inform people when they're looking at your feed and deciding when they want to follow you or like or whatever, or subscribe or whatever they want to do. They're still informing their decisions. So some posts I just see as kind of storytelling, and others are ones that are likely to do better. Don't take every knock to mean that you should be someone that you're not. It just means that you perhaps haven't found your tribe yet, but they'll find you. Just one at a time. That's all you need. You don't want these masses of people who don't care about anything you've got to say. You want to find the right people, and that is worth being authentic for, and you doing you. I hope that has helped. I would love to know your thoughts on this. I did an IGTV video about this a few weeks ago based on a few discussions I'd had over the last couple of weeks, and the response was really lovely. And it was interesting because people do get criticised for being them as well. And I think when you are sharing honestly and authentically and from the right place, when someone does criticise you, it does hurt because you feel like it's a personal attack. But again, I think that just by thinking, yeah, they're not my tribe, not my people, moving on, it's a really empowering thing. You know, we're not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay too. We don't need everyone to like us. There's over 1 billion monthly active users on Instagram. We don't need 1 billion people to like us. I think there's 2.4 billion on Facebook. We don't need 2.4 billion people to like us. I mean, it'd be nice if a few did, but we don't need that many to achieve any of our objectives in life. But we need to attract the right people. And in order to do that, you need to be you. So don't worry about what people are doing. It's good to look, it's good to appreciate what they're doing, to cheer them on. It's good to look at trends. It's good to look at things like the way they structure captions or the kind of images that work for them. But that doesn't mean that you should copy that you should emulate it. If it feels wrong to you, then it's probably wrong to your brand, your personal brand. But it doesn't mean that you can't learn from them, even if it's to learn what things you don't want to do. So I'm not saying Never ever look at something, and people you look up to, look up to them, see how they're doing what they're doing. But it doesn't mean you have to be them at all. You should just try really hard to be you. So as I said, please do screenshots, share to stories, tag me, and I'd love to know what you think about this too. If you agree, if you disagree, if you're struggling with it, if you've tried to be someone you're not and it's not worked out very well, I'd love to know it all. So please do let me know, send me a DM. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, if you would like a little more support, don't forget about this free Small and Supercharged group, which you can find over on Facebook. Just search Small and Supercharged. It's a group of lovely influencers, bloggers, small businesses, brands who are supportive and very, very lovely. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll catch up really, really soon.